See everybody here. Appreciate everybody coming out. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, call the roll, please.
Master Combs.
Here.
Master Barger.
Here.
Master Tudor.
Here.
Master Botkin.
Here.
Judge Taylor.
Here. At this time, I would like to invite Gerald Richardson from Victory Tabernacle Church of God to come up, and lead us in a word of prayer. Appreciate you being here today.
Amen. I want to say it's a privilege and an honor to be here with you to open this session up today in prayer. Anytime we get to pray over our government officials, our leaders of our country and our county, it is an honor. I want to read one verse today found in the book of Ephesians 5:20. The Apostle Paul said, giving thanks always for all things unto God and the Father in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And what a privilege and an honor it is. I thank the judge and all you officials today for inviting me. At this time, let us bow our heads and let's go before the Lord in prayer. Father, as we come before thy presence, as we thank you, God, for all of our leaders, we thank you, God, for our country that you've given us and all the officials here. We ask, God, that you give us wisdom and knowledge and understanding. We pray, Lord, that we lean not to our own understanding, but, Lord, that we lean to thy understanding. Give us, Lord, the direction of every way that we should go. Let your Spirit lead and guide and protect us, I pray. Watch over this government body today and let everything be done according to your will. And we ask it all in the lovely name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Sheriff, if you will, lead us in the pledge.
Please stand and raise your flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Sheriff. Guys, y'all have had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous meeting. At this time, I need a motion to second to approve those.
So moved.
Second. If there's no discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Then also, y'all have had a chance to look over the special meeting we had on the salt bids. I need a motion and a second to approve those as well.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Treasury report will be at the next fiscal court meeting on the fourth Tuesday. I would at this time like to ask the court's permission to amend the agenda for a Casa Lease here at the courthouse, also to some discussion with our jailer from the detention center on the HVAC bids and smoke detector bids as well. And then also we're going to strike the executive session. There's no need for an executive session today. So at this time I need a motion and a second to amend the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. At this time, Proclamation, the Red Cross Centennial Year. They actually had an event the other day at Central Bank, and we went down and actually presented our proclamation with the mayor of City Berea and mayor of City Richmond. It was a really good turnout, and nobody here is from the Red Cross today. Is that correct? Yeah. So I just want to publicly, to fiscal court, thank the Red Cross for the service they provide to our community. This is their centennial year. And it's 2017. We just want to celebrate that this year for what they do for our community in emergencies. So just want to acknowledge them. Next, and we don't have any of our firefighters here, but we've got 3 firefighters that are retiring. And I just wanted to thank them for their service to the community. One of them is Sharon Bass, Tim Gray, and Donnie Whitecamp. And they've all have been with our fire department for 20 years. We're the only fire department they've ever worked for. Is that correct? Yes. They started with us and ended with us. So we really appreciate their service to our community, and we really wish them the very best in their future. Masters, if y'all would like to say any words to them in case they watch us on TV or here, you're more than welcome.
I just say, congratulations on the retirement. We appreciate their service and their commitment over the last 20 years, being willing to step out and put their lives second and the citizens first and protect Madison County citizens for their job. I appreciate all three of them.
I just got a little birdie told me that they're coming to next court. So if we want to wait for all of our comments, Chief, if you'll hang on to those, I guess we got our wires crossed somewhere.
Okay.
So,
I'll hold my comments next.
yeah, hold them.
I'll repeat mine next.
We can play it back, John.
Don't
Yeah, you can
forget,
win.
John. Don't forget.
You'll have to watch it. Remember.
Next on the agenda is the memorandum of agreement between the Madison County Fiscal Court, Madison County CSEP, and the Board of Education. Howard, it's good to see you, buddy.
Good seeing you. Thank you all. Since 1999, CSEP has provided buses to the schools for an evacuation in case there was some type of a event out at the Bluegrass Armory Depot, the chemical limited area. We've kept approximately 125 buses. 113 are in service right now. We have 9 out of service, which it fluctuates from year to year, and that goes with the student population as it goes up and down. What we've done is in the past, they have invoiced those items for parts, labor, and it comes in sporadically, and there was not a good way of administering that program, nor was there a good way of budgeting every year. So what we've done is gone to a lease. We've historically looked at the labor costs, the parts costs, electricity, administrative costs to the school, insuring the buses, and we've gone with a flat cost on the lease, and it should not be any more money. It may be a few more dollars, but it's going to be consistent from here on out, and this lease and this MOU lays out the parameters of the program.
Okay.
How much history did you have, Howard, to come up with $190 a month?
Actually, we had some pretty good history. We had some MOUs dating back all the way to 2003. It was actually the last MOU. There was a lot of work done between the schools, CSEP, and this court back in the late 90s, early 2000s to figure out how many buses they needed. And then over the years, it was refined. How many students? I think we have 8,500 students approximately that we service. And the number of buses, you get anywhere from 60 to 80 children on a bus, and it depends on the school and where they're parked. But we looked historically at labor costs, equipment upkeep costs, electricity bills, and there's actually, someone had come up with a cost back around 2004, don't quote me on that, but it was approximately then, and it was not a lot higher than what this number is.
Which they sent you all invoices anyway, so you had the financial invoices of what they were charging you for every year, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We sat down with Kentucky Emergency Management and FEMA and their auditors and looked at this program. This has been going on about anywhere from 6 months to a year, examining this program and trying to streamline it to make it easier to administer. It was not really easy to administer because you were always guessing on what the costs were going to be from year to year. This way there's a flat cost, and it just makes it easier to administer, and it lays out the parameters and more concrete who has to do what and when they have to do it.
How often are those buses checked and readiness prepared to go?
They are driven monthly. They are continuously driven, continuously looked at, started. In the winter, they're kept on a block heater. The school provides drivers to keep the buses driven, to keep the buses maintained. They do all that.
Of all, where we got them all at, is there enough buses there in place to take all the kids at each school?
Yes, the school constantly monitors that, monitors the number of students they have, the number of buses they have, and that's the reason that bus number fluctuates. If the student population goes up, then we'll use more buses at that location to be able to take the students away in case we do need to relocate.
And one of the things they did too is that there's several teachers in each school that had to go get their CDL so they could operate the bus, because obviously bus drivers aren't stationed at the schools if it happened at 11 o'clock. And so the actual teachers are trained to actually get in the bus and drive the kids.
That's correct. That's part of the cost in this agreement.
Do they have exercises maybe once a year or something
The school participates every year in our yearly exercise in some manner. Now, not every year do they drive them, but in the past they have actually timed students to see how quickly they can get them on the bus and get the buses going. So that does happen, and I'll check the schools and see exactly what they're doing. But yes, the answer
to?
is
Well,
yes.
I'm sure every year it'll fluctuate, maybe up or down, and that's, I guess you just do it accordingly.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's one thing that's about the $190 per bus is that some years it could be 110 buses depending on population. Some years it might be 115 or whatever that need is.
Right.
Right.
And that's the reason we did not put a number of buses in here,
Yeah.
because that can rise or.
Right, it can go up or down. Yep.
And Howard, I understand that CCF is funding this program completely.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Can you also, we have a lease, so the Madison County Fiscal Court has a lease with the Madison County Board of Education. Then we also have a memorandum of agreement.
That's correct.
And the memorandum of agreement is something that's been in place for some time.
Since 2003. Yes.
2003.
We've altered that just a bit, and then we did the lease on top of that to lay out the administrative
Right.
regulations on how we
Yep.
would administer.
Yep. This really lease makes a smoother transition
Yes, it does.
than all the paperwork y'all were having to go through with the prior situation. Mark, do I need to ask court's permission for me to sign this lease and the MOA separately?
I think that since it's the same subject matter, you can address it the same.
Both, motion, okay. So, all right, if I can at this time, have a motion to allow the fiscal court to allow me to sign the lease with the Madison County Board of Education as well as the memorandum of agreement.
Second.
Is there any more discussion at this time? If not, call the roll, please.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here today. Next on the agenda is first reading of ordinance 1708, Madison County Employee Drug Policy. I think Ms. Rachel, good morning.
Good morning. Alrighty, so historically, the Code of Ethics and the Drug and Alcohol-Free Workplace Policy are usually presented at the same time. The Code of Ethics has been reviewed and there aren't any changes to be made at this time, so that's just to let you all know for that. For the Drug and Alcohol-Free Workplace Policy, there was really only a couple changes and they were very minor besides the layout of how it looks, to make it a little bit more organized for people to read it. On page 6, there was one definition that was added, and that was roadworthy for any vehicle or equipment that operates on a public roadway. And then we also broke down under the applicability section, also on page 6, on what positions identified as regularly safety sensitive and what that would include. Other than that, there really hasn't been made any other changes besides some clarifications.
Could I get a copy of page 6? I don't have one. I go 5 to 7.
There was 2 of those documents sent to us, and the first one was
And I
missing
don't
on
have
page
A.
6, and there was a couple
Was
of
it
other,
A?
Why don't you just take mine?
Okay.
there was
That's
2
fine.
other places in it where it was
Yes,
not,
thank you.
Here,
didn't have good
welcome.
continuity.
Now it's
You're going down your Dropbox,
on this
comes up
copy,
again.
Okay, that's okay.
But it has a different color to it, so
Okay.
you'll be able to tell the difference.
Thank you. Can you see the difference?
Uh-huh.
Well, I didn't know.
Do you all have any questions on this policy?
Oh, that could have had 6 on it. It's on the back. I was just looking at the front.
Yeah, you don't have backs on yours.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that was the only changes made, Rachel?
Mm-hmm. Besides
Need a
some
motion
change
to
of
it?
word usage.
Please, I need a motion and
So moved.
second, please.
Second.
Is there any more discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Next is Resolution 1716, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, at the request of the Madison County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, assists in providing resources to enhance the health and well-being of the general public, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court will act as the applicant agent for the Madison County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, also known as ASAP, to make an application to the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet, Office of Drug Control Policy, for assistance to affect alcohol and substance abuse issues in Madison County and to increase drug prevention and awareness activities funded by the program. And whereas the Madison County ASAP funding request is limited to $16,000 for the 2018 Agency for Substance Abuse Policy funding year, now therefore be it resolved that Madison County Fiscal Court assists the Madison County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy, acting as the fiscal agent for the purpose of providing services necessary for the program fiscal operation of the agency, and be it further resolved that in the event a grant is awarded, the Madison County Fiscal Court understands that it will assign assurances to comply with all applicable federal and state laws, rules, and regulations, especially Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. So at this time I need a motion and a second for the approval of Resolution 1716, the ASAP grant.
Move we approve the resolution 1716.
Second.
Thanks, guys. Any discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is the Safety City Memorandum of Agreement. This is a memorandum of agreement with Madison County Health Department. This is just a renewal. We actually renew this just every year. There's no money or anything that changes hands here. We're responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the facility, just like always in the past. They're responsible for the operations, sort of the scheduling of the events that go on out there. They work with the school, pretty close to the school system, and field trips, also as well as EKU. And obviously all of our memorandum agreements have a 30-day out at any time that we see needs. So at this time, I need the fiscal court to allow me to sign this memorandum of agreement with the Madison County Health Department on Safety City.
So moved.
Second.
Judge, could we
Yes.
maybe at some court meeting later down the road get them to come before the court and give us a update?
Sure. Yeah,
On
Lloyd George.
the Safety City, that's the only one I'm concerned about.
Yep.
I don't see any movement out there. Of course, I know school's out, and I know when school's in, they have a lot of the kids and stuff, but I think it'd be good if they give us a report.
Yep, I'll be glad.
periodically.
Yeah, I'll be glad. I'm pretty sure they came last year and gave us a report. Chief, I know they work directly with you guys, especially Station 2, with Station 2's out there.
As a matter of fact, they are conducting a Safety City today for Berea Daycare with 30 kids in it. And there's going to be one going on again this week. I believe it's on Thursday of this week. So we do have stuff going on out there quite a bit. Right now we're getting a lot of church groups coming in, daycares, things like that. Generally through the month of October, we'll run somewhere close to 1,000 kids through Safety City because that's Fire Prevention Week. And the month of October always encompasses the week of October the 9th. And then here recently, just before school let out for the end of school field trips, we ran quite a few kids from elementary schools through that program also. So it is being utilized. We do have some downtime there, but like I said, October is our big month where we do about 1,000 kids through there. So.
What are the ages that go through that?
Generally, it's usually the younger kids, and I don't have that information right on the top, but it's usually the younger elementary
six,
school.
7,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think it's elementary.
What,
Yeah.
6-year-olds?
Oh, 6-year-olds, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
And
I'm
then
not sure the age.
a lot of times we'll take the trailer to elementary schools for the older groups to go through the safety trailer that we have. So those facilities are being utilized. I don't have all the accurate numbers, but I just wanted you to be aware that.
Well, yeah, we'll get them from Lloyd. I'll be glad to have Lloyd come in. He'll have the numbers.
Update, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And, you talk about the trailer, I've seen that trailer in action, and it's a plus, and it's really, I mean, when those children go through there, it's amazing to see what they do when they come out the other end, smile on their face.
Yep.
Chief, I wish we had a drug prevention trailer we run them through and kind of make sure they get them on the right track, you know.
That's a little out of my purview.
I
there.
understand
So,
it is. I
Somebody else.
understand.
Thanks, Chief.
That's a good facility out there. And there's other people that use that too. I know the ASAP board meets out there. I've been out there for that. It's a good facility.
Yep. Can you have a motion second, though?
No. Yes, you do, sorry.
Yeah.
I've gotten ahead of myself. I'll
It's
go
all
on
right.
the next issue.
I'll let that one slide.
Thank
right
you,
there, trying to
appreciate
embarrass me.
Don't knock my pay.
Trying to embarrass me in here in front of
I'm trying to
everybody.
get you.
Stand up before the right.
Yeah.
He's left-handed.
No more discussion. Call the roll, please.
All right. Magistrate Tudor?
Yes.
Magistrate Bach?
Yes.
Magistrate Combs?
Yes.
Magistrate Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Now you can move on to family court line if you want to.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Glenna, come up,
Keep
please.
him on the schedule.
Next is the first reading of ordinance 1707. This is a budget amendment on the family court bond.
And this is just, even though we're getting a bond for the money for that building, we have to run it through our budget. And because we don't have it budgeted, I have to run it for the bond sale proceeds and then have a line item going out for purchase of family court building. So it's just a technical to get it in the budget. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, just a pass through.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second that.
Do we have any discussion? If no discussion, call the roll, please.
Magistrate Bach?
Yes.
Magistrate Combs?
Yes.
Magistrate Barger?
Yes.
Magistrate Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is asking the court's permission for me to extend the lease agreement with the appraisers, the Real Estate Appraisers Board, which is over here on the third floor of the Madison County Annex building. We've had discussions in the past where they were potentially going to move out and move to Frankfurt. They're consolidating some of those state boards under one roof. That hasn't happened yet, and they've asked us to allow them to extend their lease for 3 more months, which would end on September the 30th, 2017. So if the court is in agreement with that, please make a motion and a second to allow me to sign this agreement.
Are they still looking at that, Judge?
I'm sorry.
They still looking at that, moving?
Yeah, they still are. I get a call that they're moving, and then I get a call that, well, maybe they're not. Maybe want to relocate to another space the county may have, and then I'll get they're moving, and so I'm not really 100% sure at this moment if they really truly know what they're doing yet. But we'll work with them in any way we can. Obviously, we'd love to keep them here in Madison County if we could.
Do they pay anything for the space they got over there?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They pay 40.
$11,224 a quarter.
Yeah, I think it's about $46,000 a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't lose that, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to cut it a little bit, cut it,
Yeah.
don't lose it.
Yeah, I'm trying to
We ain't
hang
every
on to
dime we
it.
can get for that.
Yeah.
I move we extend their lease at least 3 more months, hopefully longer.
Thanks, John. Second. Thanks, Tom. No more discussion. Call the roll, please.
Who was the second? I didn't.
Tom.
Okay. Magistrate Combs?
Yes.
Magistrate Barger?
Yes.
Magistrate Tudor?
Yes.
Magistrate Bach?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is personnel. This is a Battlefield Golf interim general manager. At this time, I would like to recommend to the court, or were you gonna come up and do this? Well, yeah, come ahead. I didn't know. Come ahead if you want. Yeah, that's good.
This is just a recommendation that we promote Gary Vanderoff to a interim replacement for Mr. Hamrick. Tony Kidd will not report to Gary, but they will actually work as peers, and this position will be a 9-month interim until the fiscal court makes a final decision about the future of the golf course management. The proposed salary is $42,000, and the effective date is 6/14/2017.
Where does that compare to Clay's salary?
76.
Clay was making 76,205.74.
And he has been there a while?
And Mr. Vanderoff is actually here today, if anybody would want to ask him any kind of questions. But, I mean, he has experience in the golf industry. He worked at Andover Country Club for some time, and he's been at Battlefield for 7 years, working under Clay. He's actually already sort of taken on that role, obviously in the absence of Clay, and already been working with Rachel and Glenna. They're very impressed with how things are operating out there. I think it's a great recommendation to the court.
And working with you're familiar with the accounting systems as well, right?
Yes.
It's good.
I always appreciate, Rachel, when it's possible to bring a new hiree in and get to see him face to face and put some names with some faces, you know. Because a lot of times we'll hire somebody with a name and we won't know what, you know, recognize them by face. So it's good when they can come in, we hire somebody to get to see them face to face. Appreciate it, Mr. Van Hall.
So I need a motion and a second, if y'all agree with the recommendation that Rachel has presented.
I make a motion that Mr. Vanderhoff be hired as the interim general manager.
I'll second that.
Is there any more discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes,
Welcome aboard.
and nothing like going straight to work, Gary, but at this time, you're up, buddy. Yep, welcome. Yep, next on the agenda is the Battlefield Golf Seasonal. We got some new hires for seasonal employees.
Yeah, first we have Barry Gibson as a seasonal outside cart attendant at $7.25 an hour. Then we have Mac Williams, seasonal maintenance on the grounds crew for $8 an hour, also starting tomorrow. Phil Williams, a seasonal assistant golf shop attendant at $8 an hour. And Logan Jackson also has a seasonal assistant golf shop attendant at $7.50 an hour.
These are all seasonal hires.
Yes, they are.
They worked for you before.
All of them except for Mac Williams. He just graduated from Berea College. And he played on their team, so he's been out at the
Familiar
course
with it.
quite a bit. Yes, yeah.
Good.
Just state the effective date.
Yes, the effective date for all of them is 6/14.
Emmy, do you know right offhand how many seasonal you got?
I'm sorry, how many?
Do you know how many seasonal you have right offhand?
Let's see. Well, see, on the grounds crew, we have 4. In the shop, this will be 3. And then outside, I believe we have 7.
It looks like 12 total, and then adding these.
Oh, I got that right.
Well, plus these, correct?
Yes, plus these
Okay.
4.
And when you really think about it, the operations for the golf course is 7 to 7,
7 to 7,
7 days a week. So,
You like them hours when you do.
And if I could, I would like to add one other thing. This past May, we had sales of about 44,000. A year ago, we had sales of 40,000. And part of that, in May of 2016, we had $4,000 in merchandise sales. This May, we only had 2,000. So we still made up about 6,000 just in play alone at the course. And the weather this past May was actually worse than the weather in 2016. The biggest change we saw, we had 300 more people play. And I believe the reason for that was the overseeding that Tony had done on the fairway. And at least twice a day we're receiving comments how fantastic the course is. So that's what we're trying to do, is sell the golf course and have more people come out. And so far, so good.
yep. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of comments on how good a shape it's in.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
And believe me, I cannot grow grass. So thank God for Tony.
Yeah, that's right. He does a great job.
Yeah,
His
he
staff,
does.
yeah.
If you could sell geese, you'd be rich out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's fertilizer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fertile.
Gary, do you know if we do any promotional ads on their website for the golf course out there, like some pretty pictures and greens and
We do,
fairways?
yes, we have an overhead taken by a drone of the golf course out there.
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yes,
so-
it is.
Thanks, Gary. At this
Thank
time,
you.
if y'all approve his recommendation, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is the personnel, promotion firefighter level 2.
Yeah, I'm here today to recommend John Robinson. He was one of our, for lack of a better term, rookie firefighters. He's now received his 400-hour certification, and so he promoted from a firefighter 1 to a firefighter 2 with the proposed salary of $750 from $725, and the effective date would be 6/14.
Give me that name again.
John Robinson.
How's the new people that you hired doing?
Everybody's working out well. So we've hit the ground running, and so we're
They
doing good.
continuing their education and hours and so forth?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They have to, anybody that's 400 hours certified has to receive 100 hours of training every year to continue with their incentive pay that they get through the state. So that's a mandatory thing. They have to get at least 100 hours every year.
Well, with this month and next month, you know, we're gonna be losing some, so it's important that they get those so that they'll be able to fight a fire.
Yes, sir. I just sent 4 of them to the Lexington Fire School for what they call their mini academy, which gave them a lot of hands-on, and it was a very good class for all these 4 guys that we're trying to get to their 400 hours right now. So that was a good 4 days of training for them, and helped them get some of their hours towards their 400.
Yeah, they're 400 hours, and I was just thinking about Mr. Robinson. Do you schedule that, or is that all self-paced?
We try to have, and that's one of the things we're going to be working on when I took over. We're going to have some core training every month that all 3 shifts do. I've just not gotten there yet, building to that, but that's kind of my plan. And yeah, what we do is through the state, we enter their hours into the state training computer, and then we go pull their hours and whatever they need. If they need more hours in one subject, and I'm just gonna throw something out there, salvage and overhaul, say he needs 10 hours in salvage and overhaul, and we'll try to focus on that for a little bit to get those hours, and that's how we do it, is what do they need to get to their 400 hours.
We do have firemen out there capable of doing that, right? Teaching them?
Yes, sir. We have, right off the top of my head, we have, let's see, Tim Gray's an instructor, Donnie Wycamp's an instructor, Spencer Thomas is an instructor, I'm an instructor, Barney Alexander's an instructor, and I think Brandon French is an instructor. I might be missing one.
I mean, that way you can work it in whatever they need on certain topics.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then one of our new hires is also an instructor. I knew I was missing somebody.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief, appreciate it. If the court agrees with this, I need a motion and a second for the promotion of firefighter John Robinson to level 2 firefighter.
Second.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is going back to where I amended the agenda on the Casa Lease. I'm asking court's permission for me to go into a lease agreement with Casa, which is court-appointed special advocates. They are going to be leasing some space in the basement of the courthouse at a rate of $500 a month in rent plus $100 a month in phone service to the county.
Is that the space PVA used to be? Or
I think it was more the sheriff was in the space where their office is going to be. It's really sort of right next to Donna's office, and then they're also going to utilize there's a kind of big office at the end of the hallway down there. They're going to use it as a training room, kind of conference room, have a conference table set up in there. So they're utilizing actually in the one office they have, there's a little side office where one of those windows used to be, I guess where people paid maybe taxes or whatever. Actually, pre-trial, last year, the court agreed for pre-trial to lease that space from us. They were actually in that space last year, and then they actually moved out, I think moved back up to district court, I think, but this is an opportunity for us to you know, support CASA, and CASA, you know, they're really trying to turn the CASA program around here in Madison County and doing a very good job at it. So far so good. So if the court agrees for me to sign this lease with CASA to release space here at the courthouse, I need a motion in a second.
So move.
Second.
There's no discussion. Call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is the detention center discussions on HVAC and smoke detector. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks, Rick. We'll first start with our unit on the roof. Another one.
Another one. This is, I think this is gonna be the last one,
I hope so.
because there is just 3 up there, right?
I think so. I haven't
Yeah.
been up or late. I have to get up with Robert and find out for sure. But I know
Pretty
we've
sure.
been-
Well, there's 3 big ones. I'm
Big
pretty
ones,
sure.
yeah. We have some small ones over on the
Yeah.
female area, and that we've been working on also. And we finally got them fixed. Robert told me yesterday.
Good.
Then we finally got them fixed. Madison HVAC fixed those for us yesterday. Got them back to working normal. And we got 3 bids on this bigger unit on top of the roof. TP Mechanical came in at $18,056. Perfection Group came in at $19,780. And Madison HVAC came in at $18,544 on the monies to replace that unit. So I was talking with Reagan, we decided to go with, of course, they're the cheapest by about $400 here, but TP Mechanical, I know some of these guys, Reagan knows some of these guys that actually working with this company or own the company too, and they're very reliable, very good too. So again, this is a unit that is up on, if you're looking at the jail, the left side, back in the back, and heat and airs, conditionings. If you're walking into the facility through the front, it'd be the left side, the upper and lower side of the facility over there. That is heating and cooling. Now we have half of it shut off right now because it's went bad on us. So we got, you know, we're making it work right now with our smoke evac, keeping it on, pulling some of the hot air out. Got fans in there. It's working. It's working half. So we've got that. I mean, there's not an issue right now with any of the inmates that we have in there, but it's around 78 degrees in there. With that said, but again, these are the bids to replace that unit on top.
Doug, is this total replacement or repairing the units?
No, we're done repairing. It's about beyond repairing. It's been up for 28, 7, 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the, how many years?
27
Yeah,
years. There's
one
been
of the,
built.
one of the actual bidders actually bid fixing it, and just fixing it was $8,300.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it didn't make sense sinking $8,300 into something that's that old.
Double that much. You put
But
in
yeah,
your-
that's right, put a new unit in it, so.
What's the BTU on those heavy end?
Job description, it says 15
It's a
ton
15
carrier.
ton. Yeah.
15 ton.
That's what TP Mechanical
Yeah.
has said.
Doug, in the past, this company has been good to help you trying to keep some of the other units running too.
Yeah, and all these companies have. You know, Madison HVAC just got our bid on the freezer. They've got it fixed. Madison
it fixed?
HVAC Please.
Is it fixed?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, good.
Just asking about this
Is it a
one.
new one or are they repairing?
We knew. We knew.
Okay.
We didn't go new box. There's nothing wrong with the box itself.
The cooling
It's
system.
everything else that makes it work. Went
Well,
new
it is a
there,
little
but-
less than you thought, wasn't it?
Yes, and they got it on it pretty quick and got us fixed up and running. But again, Perfection Group, Madison HVAC, TP Mechanical, they're all good. They've all took care of us over there. But again, you put it out and this is the bid you get back. So again, they were about $400 cheaper than the cheapest one. TP
Are they
Mechanical
out of
was.
Lexington?
Do you know where? I don't.
Well, they're out of, I think they have a office in Lexington. They're having Indianapolis. Indianapolis, I think, it's Columbus, Cincinnati, Lexington. Well, I mean, Jason Estep is is a local, the Robinson boys, remember Scott?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
This is them.
It's his oldest son, is kinda, works for this company.
Did they give you a deadline, how soon they could put that in?
TP, I talked with Robert Puckett, my maintenance personnel over there, and I think he said, Monday or Tuesday. Have it
They'll have
done,
to
weather
have-
permitting.
They'll have to have a crane to take the other.
Right.
and
Yeah,
put
that's,
that up.
it's included in their
Yeah,
price.
and this will be 3 of those units on that roof that we've replaced.
Yep.
3 of them. And they were all original,
Yeah.
from the building was first built. So again, and we've repaired and put a lot of money into them through the years. Back in the 90s, we were putting money into them, trying to keep them up and running when Ronnie was over there. So now they've kind of hit the dust now.
Which on a positive note, I guess it's good that they've lasted as long as they have, you know.
Mine
Yeah.
did. I move that we award the bid to TP.
TP Mechanical.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. For the
Question.
15-ton unit
Yes.
on the jail roof.
I was just curious, because I'm curious, how did you bid the contract? They go out on paper, was that
No,
internet?
just called some people.
No, it's not required.
It's under 20.
Yeah, it's under 20.
20,000, so.
Yeah.
Just about.
Barely, right?
You went back to the people you dealt with before. You got it.
Again, we've dealt with all 3 of these people, these companies here, and they've all done good work for us. Again, it's about the bid, and they're whoever got it here, they're gonna do a good job.
Is that a
in my opinion.
15-ton on there now?
Larry, I don't have any idea, that's.
Yeah, it is. They'd be replacing the same back. Yeah.
I'm sure it's putting the same unit there, but again, I don't know for sure.
That's a pretty good price, especially as high as it is, and have to have a crane to set it. 'cause
I thought it was a
dealt
pretty good
with it.
price. Yeah, I did.
It must be the smaller of the 2, because those other 2
We're a lot more money.
quite a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
It was about $70-something thousand, wasn't it? $77,000?
I think that one's replaced before we all sat on this court together.
The
And
front.
then this last one was maybe 40, I think.
Yeah, so this is definitely the smaller unit.
Yeah. But you know, obviously coming from the contracting world and being in this business, you know, you're pretty satisfied with bids when they're that close. You know, that means they're pretty legit. You know, you don't have that one that's way out of.
Like I'm fixing to give you right
Yeah,
here.
like you're getting ready to give us.
That's right.
So we've got a motion with Larry for the approval of TP Mechanical putting that unit on the jail. Do I have a second?
Second.
No more discussion, call the roll.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bocken?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. All right.
All right, next we're going to talk about our smoke fire issues over at the jail. Our detectors that are in our cells have, they're outdated. If our fire alarm goes off, it tells us now that the lower level, rear lower level, is where it tells us we need to go. That's where the smoke is at. Well, Department of Corrections requires you to be able, for that system over there, to tell you that it's in cell 143 or 144 or 145, which it does not do that. Now, this panel was replaced back a few years ago, Larry, if you remember.
On there.
Department of Corrections said, get it changed or we'll shut it down. So I had to get a new board in the control tower. So we fixed our smoke evac. The Perfection Group came in and helped us with that. But the Department of Corrections requires for it to tell us that it pinpoints it where it's at. That it tells me again, cell 022 or 023, not just lower level, upper level. It has to pinpoint it for the Department of Corrections requirements. Now, with that said, our smoke detectors that are in our cells are not working properly because we have to set off a smoke bomb to satisfy the Department of Corrections when they come into the inspection, to where it has to be a certain smoke bomb. We set it off, and it has so much time for it to alarm the firehead that's in the ceiling. And then once it does that, the firehead goes off. It tells our smoke evac system what to do. Our smoke evac system kicks on, and it's supposed to draw the smoke out. Well, it's not doing that. It's not. Our smoke heads are not working properly. The smoke heads that we have there also, and again, they've been up there since the jail's been built. But the smoke heads that are in there now, they're not the kind of smoke heads that
will tell your smoke evac what to do. So you have to replace all them with a smarter smoke head to make it tell the smoke evac system to kick on automatically. Our smoke evac works, but it won't kick on automatically with the smoke head that we have there because it's not telling it to. So that's where we're at with that. And I called this one company and asked them, and I can't remember their name, to give me a bid, and they did not. So I had 2 bids for that. American Fire and Security are the people that are actually doing my inspections now. They have been since I've been jailer. They were doing the inspections there, if I'm not mistaken, when Ronnie DeVere was over there. But they came in to fix all of this at $11,609.53 to fix that. Simplex has been around a long time also. They came in at a total of $19,820.53. Simplex did. Again, those are only 2 bids that I have for that. This other company decided not to do a bid on that.
Is this replacing the panel that you have, or are you gonna be able to use the panel?
We're gonna be able to use the panel.
You're just replacing the fire heads.
Fire
the
heads
sensor
and
heads.
whatever it takes to make it signal our smoke evac system to make it work. And I can give you a copy of this, both of these, if you all would
Well,
like
that'd
to
be
look.
in each cell too, wouldn't it?
What's that again, Larry?
Would that be in each cell that you replace?
Every cell in the jail has a smoke detector, smoke head in it. So we have to replace every one of them.
Yeah, you'd have to pinpoint it.
Yeah, we have to. Then they have to run there's things, again, I don't know a lot about this, but there's things they have to do to make it pinpoint every cell. I mean, I have to do it. Department of Corrections tell me I have to.
Will that satisfy the Department of Corrections?
Yes.
So Doug, you've got $11,000 bid and a $19,000 bid?
We do.
Are they comparable equipment that work the same?
Yeah, I'm looking at them. I mean, one of them's got the 114 6-inch addressable bases, and the other one has got 107. 110 photo smoke detectors. That's 110 detector bases. I'm assuming that's the same.
Yeah, I would think so.
One's got 4 rate of rise heat detector. The other one's got 3. This one's got 15 miniature contact modules.
I think the lower
This one's
one,
got
Simplex
12
is-
pull stations.
I think Simplex has got some less items.
They do.
Higher monies.
Yeah, they do. Yep. So.
They're big into time clocks. Simply.
Yes.
Does that have a description of what you're getting there?
Yep.
Can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. There's one bid and that's the other. There's the list.
Do we have the money in the budget for that, or where we
We'll
get?
have to transfer more from general fund. But we probably will not get the bill this year because we're just now doing them, so, by the time they bill and we get it through a court, it'll probably be in next year's budget. We will take it out of the, but no, we haven't budgeted for it in either budget because we didn't know it.
Yeah.
But we'll take it out of repairs in next year's budget.
Our
Go from
condition,
there.
same way?
Yes. I don't think we'll get a
And
bill.
this is why this is a court. I mean, obviously, I have the
understand, yeah.
authority as judge executive to do expenditures of 20,000 or less. But that's why we brought this to court, because this is not something that's been budgeted, and so I obviously want y'all to be in the loop and be transparent of what we're doing, so.
Well, as many prisoners that we have over, and everyone knows, everyone in this audit knows, we're way over.
Sure.
So, to satisfy corrections, I don't see, we don't have no other choice.
It's required.
We don't have a
It's
choice.
requirement, we're gonna have to do it, and we need to keep them satisfied.
This is good for the public to know as much money as we're already having to put in the jail. There's other costs there that we have no choice. We've got to do it because
So we
it's
don't have a
required
choice.
without.
It's required by DLC or they'll shut us down.
Right.
And they will do that. Again, we have to keep it up. This is what we have to do.
Doug, is a higher number better rating on these things? On some of this, like a 107 compared to 110 PSA?
Well, 107 is the quantity.
Okay.
The quantity is 107. It's not like a rating.
Right, they were thinking they need 107 of these, and this other company said they need 110 of those.
Is that what they're trying to tell us?
Well, I think that this addressable smoke detector, this 107,
Well, you're getting 110.
equals this, this smoke detector.
Well, this is the one that's looking at, the rate. One of them rate, but it's got a full out there, and looking at it through.
Well,
No, it's not the rate, it's the quantity.
Will you have them in the
Rate of
cell,
rise
I'm
heat
sure the
detector, must
hallway
be
will
what
be
that
in there,
item is
correct?
Yeah, we've got them
That's the
everywhere.
description
We
of
have to
the
have them. I mean,
This is the quantity.
This is
you're
a
dealing with
lesser,
Yeah,
almost
that's
400
here,
people
you know.
that.
Yeah, and you can actually have more quantities in it than this one.
Smoke evac system and the fire alarm, the fire heads, they're very important. If a fire happens over there and it don't alarm us, then we got 400 people that are lives in danger. So again, this is very, very important. It's more important than the heat and air unit, but we have to have the heat and air unit also. Because I have to keep it a certain temperature, coolness in the summertime for the people that live over there, and I have to keep it a certain temperature and warmth.
I like it the way you said live over there.
Live there. I have to do there. I get written up by the Department of Corrections if they come in there.
Doug lives over there too.
And it's not cool enough or it's not hot and warm enough. I get written up by the Department of Corrections because it's not cool enough. The temperature's not or not warm enough. So it's my responsibility to keep it warm, keep it cool, and to make sure our fire system's working, our smoke evac system works. It is very, very dangerous. The smoke evac system is
Well,
something we
the
have to have.
court's satisfied with it, Tommy, you satisfied?
Well, I mean, with what information we have, basically.
I move we go ahead and award the bid to
American Fire and Safety.
American Fire
And security.
I'll second that. It looks like they have, more equipment or at least the
And
same
it's
quality,
fairly,
maybe a little
it's
better
fairly
than-
comparable. I mean, I think quantities are
Higher
fairly
equipment,
close.
It's, the number doesn't make any difference to me. What makes a difference to me is whether or not it works with your system or not. You can have 500 of them, but if it don't work
Sure.
with your system, it doesn't make any difference.
Sure, exactly, but that's something that I'll stay on top of and make sure it works, and I mean, they're the guys that do this job.
Yeah, if they say
I don't
it
know
works,
about
I
it,
mean,
but-
obviously it will.
But yes, and the American Fire guys here that, they've been doing my inspection again. I think they were doing it for Ronnie when he was there. So I just continued using them. They do a good job. Department of Corrections is satisfied with what they do for me inspection wise, but again, we're talking about bids, and I think, you know, these guys are professionals. I'm not.
Do you know?
So just stay on top of it, make sure we
I
do
just
a
have
good
another
job.
question. Do you know whether or not that, the system, either one, I don't care which one, but that either one of the systems, if you're gonna have to have any kind of software change to work with what you've got now, because you were saying what you have now identifies an area. What they're talking about is gonna identify down to a cell.
Don't think we have to have any software, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll check into that and make sure, but I don't think there's any software that's gonna be needed.
That'd be
They can
great
use
if
the
that's the way
wires
it
that we
works
have.
out.
Yeah. Any more questions for me about our fire or unit? Anybody?
I think we already have a motion and a second, so if there's no more discussion. Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Burger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
And I appreciate your all's thoughts and prayers for my brother passing, so I thank you all for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Doug, for what you did.
Hey, that was the next thing I was gonna say on my judge's report. We're sorry for your loss, and I know your family had a tough week last week, so. The Taste of Richmond will be Friday, June 16th. That'll be this Friday. Anybody interested in going, that'll be from 6 to 9 at the Richmond Center. Contact the Richmond Chamber of Commerce for a list of vendors or more information. There's a Pennies for Paul's car show and live music. Will be Saturday, June 17th at the Richmond Center. The car show will be from 5 to 9, and live music will be from 6 to 10. The proceeds benefit the Madison County Humane Society. If anybody, that's this Saturday, June 17th. The Daniel Boone Splash and Dash at the Berea City Pool will be Saturday, June 24th from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Registration is required and may be made through the Berea Parks and Recreation Department. Madison County Communities Band's annual Independence Day concert will be Tuesday, July 4th from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Richmond Center. Berea's 4th of July Fireworks Spectacular will be on July the 4th as well at the Berea City Park. Activities begin at 6 and fireworks will be at dark. Richmond's 4th of July celebration will be Tuesday, July 4th as well at Lake Reba. Activities begin at 5 p.m. and fireworks will be at 10:05. So I guess they know it's dark at 5 minutes.
Must be listening to Bill Beck.
I get it? Huh? Yep.
It's just in case.
Yeah, just in case, yeah. Madison County Courthouse and its related offices will be closed on Tuesday, July 4th for Independence Day holiday. And then offices will reopen on July 5th at 8 a.m. And then also, last but not least, I'd like to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day, which is this Sunday.
You included?
Yeah, he's next on the agenda. Yep. Is that right?
You skipped over him, but that's all right.
Huh?
That's the way mine was.
Judge's report is 13. Comments from department heads. Sheriff Hyde is 14. Are we good?
We're good.
All right. Next is, I'd like to invite the sheriff up. Appreciate you coming to give us an update today on the HIDA task force. Thank you, buddy.
Good morning. I've got a few things I want to go over real quick with the court before I introduce Robert Mott, which is Assistant Chief of Richmond Police Department. He's also the director that we selected to run our task force. I think a couple of weeks ago, the last court meeting, we went over the two audits for the office as well as their taxes, and both of those come back excellent, and I just wanted to bring that back up again. I also want to address the court on the workload that we have at the Madison County Sheriff's Office. As you look, we came into office in 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16, and here's part of 17 up until May that's being showed. But our workload keeps increasing in all of the different line items that we have. As you notice, the case reports, 1,130, court papers served, EPOs, domestic violence, DUIs, actual reports, warrants. When you go down this list, and we capture our activity daily, and then we turn it over to monthly, and then this is when we put it on our sheets. But the one thing that's very interesting is calls for service, and this is through our 911 dispatch. As you notice, at the end of 2016, we had 35,152 calls for service through the Madison County Sheriff's Department. Some of the magistrates and the judge, we discussed this before. You know, when the state police has 7 troopers that are assigned to Madison County, and then they have days off, they have vacation time, special details, or sometimes they don't have anybody out, and we're the sole call taker of Madison County. This worries me a lot of times because we try to have 3 to 4 deputies out, especially from 12 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's a tough business that we're in. The more people you have out, the safer it is, the better it is. And you know, with these numbers and these figures, I think that you can see the workload that's been placed on us. As you see, Madison County Sheriff's Office for 2016, 35,152. Richmond Police Department, through their 911, they had 59,709. Berea Police Department had 18,642, and the Kentucky State Police answered 11,134 through Madison County. You know, these figures, they tell what you do. Figures don't lie. I wish we had more people. You know, I was going to ask for about 20 cars today and about 20 more people, but I think, Doug, I think we see where the money's going today.
You should have went first.
But
I think I'd stick with the statistics.
Like I say, why are we in the position we're in? You know, the workload we're in, the volume of crime and all the complaints we get. It's pretty simple, and it's the drugs, the drug traffickers, the drug abusers, the drug addicts. This epidemic is what's brought all this on. You know, you look out in our society, you look at the hospitals, the medical staff, social services, the health department, our court system, our staff that works in the court system, law enforcement. I mean, it goes on. The jails, our prison system. I mean, everybody is just clogged up, jammed up, and it just keeps going on. I heard on the radio the other day coming to work that one statistic has changed nationwide. It's not heart attacks, and it's not cancer, and it's not, they gave a few things, and that one guy that I was listening to said it was due to overdose. It's one of the leading causes of death in this country. And I know here in Madison County that we've had several since the first of the year, and we did keep a pretty good record on it, but it just seems like it, I think 2 this past weekend here in Madison County. I know Bob, I know how he feels, and I know how I feel. It's the way it's Doug. It seems like sometimes that we're fighting a forest fire, and it's kind of like down in Gatlinburg here a few months ago. It just seems like this fire just keeps getting more out of control, keeps growing. The wind's blowing. You think you're doing all right, and then the change of wind will blow. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to law enforcement. When we work the way we do clandestinely, we bring money in, and we get a task force that helps supports our efforts to try to stop the flow of drugs, and we arrest these people, and before the paperwork or the ink is even dry, seems like they're already back out because we don't have any place to lodge them. We don't have a prison to send them to. It gets frustrating. You know, this drug epidemic, it's changed all of us. There's not a person in this room, not one person in this room that it hadn't affected or it will not affect. It will affect us somehow, some way. You know, looking back in almost 4 decades that I've been in this business, it's worse now than it's ever been. And it's not that we're not trying, it's not that all of our efforts that we're not trying, because we work at it very hard each and every day. But it just seems like that we continue to have certain crimes that come from the drug end of it. Our DUIs, we don't get as many alcohol DUIs today as we do someone that's driving on pharmaceutical drugs or some type of a chemical type drug, synthetic marijuana, all these type drugs. It just keeps coming out of the woodwork. But what it has done, and what I notice that it has done, it's affected our ability as police officers. It gets to a lot of people because they deal with the same people, the same problems. It gets aggravated when you wake up or come out at second shift, third shift, or day shift. You're getting ready to go to work and you're thinking, well, I'm gonna start off with burglaries to have to investigate because somebody has broken into a car. It's all somehow, somewhat, some way drug related. 85% of our crimes that we've talked in this room before, it stems from this. And saying that, here's Assistant Chief of Richmond Police Department. They've had a retention problem at Richmond. Berea, the state police. It's hard to keep law enforcement officers. I think this state is 4,600,000 population, and there's about 8,000 police officers, counting sheriff's department troopers, all the city police officers. So we don't have enough law enforcement to combat the problem that we're doing. And there's not been a bigger time in the history of this country and this county than it is right now that we all have to start coming together and doing everything we can. I was totally against the needle exchange, and then the more I studied, I'm more for it. I'm not for what goes in those needles. but I am for the disease, trying to keep it off the streets. There's been certain laws that have changed, and those laws is what we have to enforce. When you all sit on a jury, you have to learn that there's a difference between a drug dealer, a drug trafficker, and a drug user or a drug addict. Those folks need help. The drug trafficker needs to be in jail, under the jail. They're useless. Point making is that it's hard to retain officers. Madison County Sheriff's Department, we've been very lucky in the last few years to be able to bring on anybody we wanted to bring on if we had an opening, because we had plenty of people that wanted to come to work there. In the last 6 months, we've had 5 deputies leave. 5 deputies. Now this is people that you've got trained, this is people that you spent money on, and when it works havoc on your schedule, when you're trying to do the job as you need to do to patrol, serve papers, court security, all these type of things, and then you have 3 people go down with sickness. We had 2 with heart problems. One had 3 arteries had to have redone, and one had 3 stents put in, and one of our deputies had another heart problem, plus we lose 5 deputies. We had to stand up tall. We had to call on a lot of people to work other shifts, change shifts, do away with their days off, but that's the kind of people we have. They stood tall, and we got through this. Those 5 deputies that we lost, we hated to lose them, and I understood on each one of them. One of them went to EKU. He's a single parent. The money wasn't all that different, but he had an opportunity to get an education through them by working for them, and his son could get an education. So I understood that lead. And when we did an exit interview, I understood why he was leaving. We had 2 go to DOCJT to be instructors. One of them was Chris Sizemore, excellent employee, a sergeant. He's been involved in the Ellis shooting, the shooting on the bypass, a lot of other things. I think he was just wore out. He was just, every day, this stuff, every day, and being a supervisor, I think he just wore out. But I understood. Brian Lafferty, which was a excellent hire on our part. I hate to see him go. He had the opportunity to either look 10 or 12 more years working the road or go to DOCJT and be an instructor. One of the finest young men I've been around in my life, the attitude, the demeanor, but he left to be trained to be a polygraph technician. So I understood that lead. And then we had, of course, 2. We had 3, 1 declined, but we had 2 that went into the state police to be troopers. And I spent a lifetime in the Kentucky State Police, retired, so I understood that as well. But retention, keeping people. At present, we filled all of our spots that we had vacant. Deputy Jeff Parker we've brought him on. Deputy Todd Chitwood, which was a sergeant at EKU, excellent young man, does excellent work. Deputy Roy Johnson was retired from Richmond Police Department back in, I think it was in the fall. He was a sergeant when he retired, doing an excellent job. Our last hire was June the 1st, was Joshua Horn, which the judge swore in. Joshua Horn worked at Real Police Department, I think about 6 years, left, went to Lexington Metro 3 years. He's a resident of Madison County. He wanted to leave Lexington Metro and come here to go to work. So that's where he's at. And we also have a court security officer that has done an excellent job since we hired him. He's an excellent worker, great work ethic, very devoted. And I assured him that at any point in time, that if we got a chance to send him through the academy, that we would. So he started the academy on May the 1st, and he is expected to graduate October 27th. You know, I can't say enough about our department. Trying to keep everybody happy, even though all these other things go on. When they come to work, you never know what's going to take place. Madison County, you know, we've had a shooting on the bypass, law enforcement shooting. We've had Daniel Ellis, and when I showed up at this shooting, he was already there, and it was involved in apprehending the subject that shot him. These things never leave you mad. You know, you're in a war. You're in a war, and that war doesn't get easier. You know, there's one of our deputies that didn't think that he was, after he left the luncheon that we had here at the Madison County officials put on, he didn't think he was going to be shot in the stomach about 30 minutes later. And that was Kevin Crutcher in the fatal shooting on Arthur Jackson Road. I noticed on the news, and then my son is a sergeant in state police. He gets involved in a shooting in Madison County. You know, first thing that he said, when you're a sergeant, you're not supposed to be involved in this stuff. I'm not supposed to be answering calls. I'm supposed to be a supervisor. But when you don't have enough people working, you've got problems. Yesterday, I think it was Knox County, ambush, 2 deputies walked up to a door. One thing it say one of them was his badge that the bullet hit and his vest. The other one didn't have a vest on, and he's in critical condition. I noticed on my phone this morning, Arkansas, another police officer shot through the night. This is dangerous business. It's dangerous business when you deal and have to fool with some of these fools out here that we deal with. But I want to say that I'm very pleased, and I can't brag on enough, and I want to bring it to this court's attention, the employees that we have and the employees, those 5 that have left us, they did us an excellent job. You know, I just can't say enough when it comes to the times that we're in right now and trying to keep law and order in the people that we have, and they work so great. And I'm sure that Bob feels the same way about his. But one good thing that we do, we have the Madison County Sheriff's Office, and then we have the Richmond Police Department. We have the Berea Police Department, we have state police, because we have that camaraderie that we can work together, and that's what we're going to do. I want to say one thing else. Our K9, Goku, I can never say the back part of it. It's a Belgium. Somebody help me out. Malinois. I can never say that because it doesn't look like the spelling. But he's a great dog. We loan him out a lot of times, get a lot of calls, and we use Richmond's dog, and we use Maria's dog, and they use theirs. Just whoever is out is who we get. But this dog here is great. He's done wonders. He's all business. He's all work. He's not the one you want to reach down and pet, but he does a great job. And I want to thank, acknowledge this to the court. We just received some funding for Goku for a ballistic and stab-proof vest. And this was made possible through our public affairs officer, Michael Stotts, went out and did a program. Next thing he knew, we had money coming in from the American Legion Post 12 and 50 from Richmond and Berea, David Gannon of the Ellis Coalition, EK Recreational Club, Veterans of Foreign Wars 70-98, Vietnam Veterans of America, the DAV and Sons of the American Legion, and the Marine Corps League, that they funded and donated money, which was quite expensive, to get this K9 vest. So I want to say how much I appreciate them. One thing that that we recognized a ways back is that we were getting so many complaints, even though we had the task force, we were getting snowed. And then I'd call out and I'd tell Bob, I'd say, Bob, you know, we got these complaints, are you working on them? Well, we're doing everything we can do. And then when you see people, well, I made a complaint and they're still going on. So I was bound to determine that we were gonna have to do something different. But we had the task force, so we started a street level crimes unit. And that street level crimes unit has proven to be a big factor. The factor being is that it investigates complaints, drug complaints, theft crimes, whatever that comes in through our tip line. And that keeps us busy. And then if someone gives me a tip, I give it to them and they go out and investigate it. And it's like clockwork. I mean, it works, and it's been working good. And it generates a lot of stuff where we have to call the task force in to take over because it takes us on somewhere else to another level. In Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, bringing in some, and it's kind of like dominoes knocking down. But this street level crime unit, we have our K-9 officer, Jeff Bowl, and Goku, and we also have Kevin Crutcher that works out on a daily basis, and like I said, it's been doing good. And I'm also very proud, kind of like a grandfather or firstborn son, whenever you set goals, and that's what you do. You know, you set goals for your employees to meet. And one of the goals that we set a long time ago, and it took us about 2 years to get it, was for our office to be accredited, which you all are aware. 120 counties make up the sovereign of Kentucky, so that's 120 sheriffs. We're one of 17 that's been able to get accredited. So I think that shows the professionalism and everything that our department does and what we work for. And that happened in 2016. And another thing that I like to see that took place was a big goal, and we talked with Bob and Chief Brock and some others, was to try to get a task force. When the other drug task force dried up because of funding, you know, Sheriff Combs and myself was getting blamed for it drying up. We didn't have anything to do with that. But what we did do, we started out writing letters, making phone calls. There's a lot of people, and there's a blonde-headed lady right in there in that room that it was a big factor in. But we made the right connections. Tony Terry, when I was able to hire him after he'd retired, he had a lot of connections. One thing led to another, and Mitch McConnell and Andy Barr helped get us a federal task force in here in Madison County that was funded, and so many things take place out of it. You're able to investigate crimes here that also that you're working on in California or wherever. It never stops. But you know, that came true for us. That was something we didn't think would ever happen, but it did, to get the task force. And it's a great thing, and that's another tool that Madison County has. And once we finally got it, we got news that in January 1st, 2015, it was going to kick off. Senator Barr and Senator Mitch McConnell came down. We had a press conference. We named Robert Mott, which is Assistant Chief. We wanted him, with his experience and expertise that he had, to be over the task force. And then Madison County Sheriff's Office, we've got 2 detectives assigned full-time to it. Richmond's got 2 plus Bob. And then we have the state police assigned to it, and we have 1 detective from Berea PD assigned to it, ATF and DEA. And they have done some excellent work. There are some new laws that have changed. One of them that has changed is a federal law that I'll just try to read it here just a little bit. It's a very important tool available under federal law, namely the prosecution of drug dealers who traffic in substance that cause a result in death. Under federal law, these criminals are subject to sentence up to 20 years to life, 20 years of mandatory maximum sentence, and not subject for parole, and cannot be probated. At least 85% of the sentence must be served. That's a go-getter. And there's a lot of cases that the task force has been making out of that, been very successful. And at this time, I'd like to introduce a good friend and been an excellent supervisor for Richmond Police Department as well as their task force, Robert Mott. Thank you, Robert.
Good afternoon, y'all. Tell you a little bit of background about the HIDA program. The HIDA program, like the sheriff said, is a federal program. It's got a couple stipulations. It forces agencies to work together. They will not fund just one agency, they fund task forces. So that's why you have the ATF and all the local agencies under one roof, because HIDA won't fund it if you don't do that. They also want you to target mid to upper level drug dealers. So when the sheriff talks about the neighbor that, you know, has a lot of traffic and all, they may not be on the higher end of the scale, but they're the ones that generate complaints. So do we always target those people that are your neighbors that are driving you nuts? Not so much, just because we are looking at the people that break it down here from Detroit, Chicago, Dayton, Atlanta, that type of thing. We also, when we go through the stats here, we also try to enforce those federal laws, and specifically the one that the sheriff was talking about there with the overdose deaths and overdoses, period. The U.S. Attorney wanted cases where you had people that overdosed and they went after the people that supplied the drugs, not necessarily the ones that just immediately gave it to them, but the people, the organizations that brought it down. And those are the organizations that we targeted a lot in 2016. So keep that in mind when we go through the stats here. I'll run through them pretty quick. If you look at the sheet I gave you, you've got a column of 2015, 2016, and just the first quarter of 2017, just because we're not yet finished up with the second quarter of 2017. Cases open in 2015 were 123, 2016 were 179, we're up to 33 for the first 3 months of the year this year. Look across there at the firearms seized, had a pretty good year in 2015, dropped off a little bit in 2016. Methamphetamine, when we first started in 2015, of course, everybody was looking at the heroin epidemic, and that's where we spent the majority of our time. So you'll see from 2015 to 16, there's quite a different jump, and I'll explain that in just a second. Heroin's pretty much remained the same as far as the amount of heroin that we're seeing. You see a little drop off there in 2016, and that main reason is we followed up on those overdose cases that the sheriff talked about, where you were looking to see not only who brought it down, but who was ultimately responsible for the number of deaths. In 2015, we were well over 30 deaths in Madison County related to overdoses. In 2016, it was well over 40. I don't give you an exact number on there, and that's because we don't exactly know. You would think that law enforcement should be able to count dead bodies, but the truth is they get dropped off in other counties, they get transferred from here to Lexington, and they ultimately die in Lexington or Cincinnati or somewhere else, so they're not always getting counted. So when I say that we had a little over 30 and a little over 40, that's where that number comes in, because we don't always know. Or they go to a hospital that doesn't recognize it as an overdose death and names it something else. So that's why those numbers are a little fuzzy, and I don't have definite numbers on here. But basically in 2015, we saw, pretty alarming rate when you got well over 30 people dying in Madison County from overdoses. So we targeted those overdose cases in 2016, and that's where you'll see the drop off in numbers, just because when you're doing that, you're going back and you're not seizing as much dope and as much money and as many guns and that sort of thing. But you do get that big federal hammer there when it comes to sentencing. When you're bringing up guys and they're starting at the 20-year mark, plus whatever dope you can prove that they sold, it's pretty significant. We had a life sentence where a guy went into federal court from a case in 2015 and pled to life because he could have potentially gotten more than life if he'd taken it to trial. So obviously those are significant cases, and we've got a slew of them. We've got people from Chicago, Detroit, Dayton, and Atlanta that we're charging with that crime right there, plus the dope on top of it. So as far as handing out federal sentences with really, really stiff penalties, we're doing that. And the good thing about that is they don't clog up Doug's jail over there, they're going to federal prison. So that's kind of why you'll see the drop off here, and I'll keep going. Oxycodone, we had 4,700 pills in 2015, dropped to a little less than 1,000 in 2016. You'll see in the first quarter of this year, we're already up to 1,600. I'll go back to methamphetamine, and if you look at that, the first year, while we're talking about, we targeted heroin people, so we only had 232 grams, where the second year, in 2016, you're up to 1,500, and already this year we're up to 537. The reason for that is the Mexican cartels, they do not control, this is according to DEA, they do not control the heroin as well as other organizations from the Middle East. But they can produce high quality methamphetamine relatively cheaply, and so they've flooded the market in the United States with that. And so what we're seeing now is an ounce of meth 10 years ago, bathtub dope, grade dope that we paid $2,800 an ounce for, now you can buy the highest quality, best quality methamphetamine, which is ice, for about $800 an ounce. And that's because the cartels have flooded the market. And DEA says, you'll see more of it, and we've got the numbers to show. Just the jump from 2015, we seized more in the first 3 months of this year than we did all of 2015. So that kind of explains that. Everybody wants to talk about the heroin problem and the needle problem and all that, and I'm here to tell you we've still got a methamphetamine problem. The good thing about that is now that we've got high-grade meth here, we're not seeing near as many labs, so we're not cleaning up labs anymore. So that's kind of the cost that you bear. You give up the having to clean up labs and destroying people's property, and dump sites on people's property and people's farms for having a really severe meth problem where it's cheap and very, very potent. So I'll keep going here. Other prescription pills, some of those were related to one case there in 2015. That's why you got a big spike there. Bath salts, that kind of comes and goes. You'll have a group that'll come into town that'll be able to make it or get it really cheap, and once you take them out of the picture, then it kind of falls off.
Bob, can you educate me on bath salts? What is that?
There's a couple. Bath salts falls under a couple different terms. It's a synthetic. I actually got educated on it. We did a controlled delivery. Border Patrol called us up and said, hey, we've got a kilo of XLR 111. Would you like to deliver it? And I said, sure. What is that? I didn't know. But that's one of the main ingredients. They import it from China. You can order it through the internet, but it's illegal in the United States. And you mix that with some acetone and a couple other things, and you spray it on something that you can smoke, and that's what the bath salts turn out to be. Yeah, it's a chemical thing. They've chased it. The legislature's tried to chase after it for a couple of years now. They just changed the way it's made to skirt the law, and now that they think that they've got it pretty much where it's all encompassing. To say that that's the only way to make bath salts, that's not exactly right. There's several different ways, and law enforcement and the law has tried to catch up to it, and that's kind of where we're at now.
So you learn something new every day too?
I do. We do.
Well, those guys are very aggressive too, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
On bath salt.
That's right.
People that take bath salt are very aggressive.
Well, about a couple of years ago, they got real popular at these convenience stores and stuff. You walk in and they had herbs and they had stuff, and that's what that had in it. It's kind of like a synthetic marijuana, but they put there's different ingredients they put in, and then whoever's taking it, they just, you can't control.
Well, that's interesting. You can order it over the internet.
What's interesting about it is there's no quality control. You got somebody that, stirs something up in a garden sprayer and sprays it on something that you can smoke, whether it's incense or some other kind of leafy substance, tobacco. When they're spraying it on there, you don't know exactly what you're getting when they bag it up and get it to you. So I think I'd be shocked if the sheriff and the EMS personnel wouldn't tell you, hey, we're seeing, 16-year-old kids having heart attacks and we can't explain it. And it is so different that when you test those people when they go to the hospital, they can't always readily identify what it is because it's odd, there's so many different variations from it. Unless they tell you that's what they've done, the hospitals don't know how to always treat, because a lot of times they won't tell them. So there's a lot of things there. Thankfully, bath salts kind of comes and goes. You'll get a group that starts making it, and once you take them off, then it kind of subsides for a while. And basically, they go back to meth and heroin or prescription pills, that sort of thing. So when we see bath salts, we'll see a big, like I said, a group of them making it. If you can get in and get rid of them, then it falls way off and it kind of goes away. Now that the law has gotten a little wider, like the sheriff said, you're not seeing it in convenience stores and things like that. So.
Thank you.
Bath salts arrests, generally we arrest about 100 people a year. And a lot of those are federal cases. They don't show up in Doug's jail over there. We try to get the majority of our cases to all go federal just because of the stiffer penalties, and generally they're bigger dealers.
You take those typically to London or to Lexington?
Lexington. They're prosecuted. Well, I say that. It depends which grand jury you can find which day of the month.
Yeah.
So it depends on that, but the majority of them go to Lexington.
And they may, somebody, what the HIDA is, there's different HIDAs all across the United States, and we're one of them here. So they may be working on a case here that ends up in Chicago, or vice versa. So they may be going up there to testify that this guy got caught down here, or vice versa.
The HIDA program does several things. The things that you all would be interested in is they fund overtime. The guys that work these investigations spend a lot of time in surveillance, a lot of time in court, so there's a lot of overtime. All the agencies that participate in it, that overtime is reimbursed. And another big expenditure is the cost of the dope. Dope's expensive, and we buy a lot of it. And so that is all reimbursed. So these seizures that come back in before the HIDA program, you used to take that seized money and go out and buy more drugs with it. Now we're being reimbursed monthly for what we spend, and that seizure money will build up eventually to where you can spend it on other things. So that's a good thing. HIDA program, like I said, also forces all the groups under one roof. They also have an intelligence center down in London that all of our cases, all of our information goes through, and we get information, like the sheriff says, not only from other HIDAs, but nationally, because they have DEA, FBI, ATF people, customs people there, and we can draw from their intelligence bases to be able to connect the dots, so to speak. So, and that's a significant deal that we didn't have before HIDA came along, be able to do that. Before, you had to pretty much know an agent in one of those agencies to tap into that, and now it's just a phone call for us, and it's significant, very, very significant. I can't stress that much. HIDA also has you talked about prevention. They've got a prevention side. Right now, there's not a prevention coordinator in Kentucky, but the West Virginia coordinator and the Virginia coordinator have both been to Madison County. They've been out to Madison Central, and they've been to Madison Southern too, and I think a couple other elementary schools down in Berea. So, long story short, if you've got anybody that wants a big prevention program, they require a pretty good crowd. It has to be a school or maybe multiple churches or something like that. We can get you in touch with that in the HIDA program as well. Going back to the stats, when you look at search warrants, we quit keeping up with those stats in 2017. The reason being is we do so many search warrants on phones now, it's not a really good indicative stat, because most drug dealers now have more than one phone, and we do a lot of phone warrants, a lot of warrants not only on houses but storage units, cars. And so when you say you did 5 search warrants, most people think you did 5 search warrants on houses, and that's not exactly correct. So we don't even keep up with that stat anymore, just because we do so many warrants on phones and things of that nature. Labs, meth labs there. You'll notice we didn't have any in the first quarter of this year. We only had 1 in 2015, and we only had 4 in 2016. 10 years ago, it wasn't uncommon to have 5 labs a month in Madison County, and that's because of the high-grade methamphetamine that's coming in. Nobody wants to make it anymore because you're getting better stuff cheap from the Mexican cartels. Ecstasy, those are pretty low numbers because we don't see that much here in Madison County. Marijuana, we don't target marijuana unless it's done through some kind of controlled delivery or a large amount. Every now and then you'll get an indoor grow that will investigate or go after it, but basically the penalties are so low and the federal government won't prosecute marijuana cases, so we don't spend that much time targeting it. Everybody wants to know about the cash. You'll see the cash values down there. Almost $700,000 in 2015. There's several vehicles that were involved in a couple big cases. They'll be on the IRS website next week. You can buy your new Corvette or a couple boats that came out of Madison County. They're pretty nice. I didn't put the real property values in there. In 2015 alone, we took almost 1.3 million in real property. The reason I didn't put it in there is because those are negotiated in federal court. If we arrest a husband and the wife gets a significantly less sentence than the husband, the government doesn't like the idea or the stigma of making them homeless when they get back out. So if they've got multiple homes, they'll usually work something out where they'll give the lesser of the homes back, take their vacation home, or vice versa. So when we report 1.2 million taken in 2015, the true seizure out of that will probably be, somewhere around 700,000-800,000. So I hate to throw out those big numbers like that year by year because you ultimately don't get that much back, but you do get a significant amount of money back. You'll notice that the cash fell off in 2016. That's just because we were chasing those overdose deaths. We were going after those organizations that were supplying the dope that was killing our folks here in the county, and we got them. We got several of them. You'll see this year, first quarter, it's already back up to almost 100,000. I'd be shocked if we don't wind up, we may even wind up with 1 million this year again in cash, and that's pretty significant. We've never done those kind of numbers here in Madison County, and it's because we're targeting bigger folks, and that money will start trickling down too. Usually when you take it, it takes several years, from go through the court system and for it to be divvied out. So that $695,000 in 2015, we got our first payment on one of that last week, and it was $15,000. But as they continue to sell off those assets, it'll start flowing in, and it'll be a significant amount of money.
You only get a portion of that anyway, correct?
That's right. That's right. Depending on how you take it. If it's a federal case, the feds take 20% right off the top, maybe more if they use some other kinds of, if there's a helicopter involved or a National Guard plane that costs a lot of money or something like that, they'll take more of that just to be able to keep that operated up. Stateside, it's 15% goes to the prosecutor's office, and then it gets divided up among agencies and agency hours below that. So like you said, that $695,000 each agency, will only get a portion of that. But you get enough cases and winds up being several $100,000 a year as time goes on, and that's it's quite a bit of money. So vehicles, we quit keeping vehicles totals this year as well, just because of those negotiations where they go out. You look in 2015, we took 8. We only took 1 in 2016, and that's just because of the overdose deaths that we went after in 2016. Those 8 vehicles in 2015 had a value of a little over $250,000. So, and we get portions of those too. So when they get auctioned off, like I said, they'll be on the IRS website here, I think next week. Feel free to go over you up. There's a couple nice Corvettes and a couple nice boats in there too. So everybody always asks what do you do with the money and the dope, so I always throw that out there. But that's where we're at. This year in 2017, we're going to focus not so much on the overdose deaths. I think the U.S. Attorney's Office has been flooded with overdose cases, and they're looking, with a new president, they're going to look somewhere else, or there'll be a different flavor of the day in the U.S. Attorney's Office is what they prosecute. So we'll go back to the traditional way, kind of 2015, seizing a lot more assets, seizing a lot more cash, and a lot more drugs. 2016, it was all based on overdose deaths, and we got some tremendous sentences out of that, and now we'll probably lean back to the more traditional way of doing drug cases.
Bob, on defense of yourself and the group that you work with and the sheriff, it's easy, and I talked to Mike about this, it's easy for, the neighbor or a friend or whoever to say, well, they're selling pills or dope or whatever. and you probably already know that. But until you can make a case, there's no use doing anything.
Well, not only, a couple of reasons that people get frustrated with us. One is you call me up and tell me that your neighbor's selling drugs. We might go down there and arrest them that day, and they're back out, like Mike says, before you get home. So you didn't even know that they got arrested.
Unless you make a case, I mean, you're wasting your time.
Or, you know, we utilize a lot of informants, we do a lot of long-term investigations. We may buy from your neighbor and you may call us for the next 6 months. And I can't tell you, hey, don't worry about them, they're gonna go away, when ultimately they will, but I can't tell them that, and people get frustrated, you know.
Yeah,
and
you wanna
ain't-
gather more eggs.
That's right, that's right. So we focus on organizations, not just individuals. So if your neighbor that you're complaining on is in an organization and we get them, they may not get arrested even that year, but eventually they will. Or they may get arrested and get right back out, like I said. So people don't think or don't realize that you're spending time and doing an effort, and sometimes you just don't get them. Sometimes they stay off the hook for a while. So to say that, I can see people's frustrations when they call and complain, but rest assured, we're going after them. We're not just letting them sit by idle.
Well, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure this court, you've educated us quite a bit. And I appreciate the job you do with Mike, and I hope there's a lot of people watching this program today. We will be rerunning. It's a good education for everybody.
Appreciate
And I appreciate what you do.
You're welcome.
To take in mind, I'd just like to say, I appreciate that task force and continue to do what you do, but to me, the frustrating part is that people want to go down this road to begin with, and we're not, you know, we're not educating, we're not providing the home life that we need to it at home, or something. We're failing this society, that people want to take this route and just ruin their lives and the lives of everyone around them. It's so sad that we can't find a cure or some way to let these young people and even middle-aged, older people that get hooked on this stuff that just completely ruins their lives, and it's just crushing their society, crushing their country, and that is the sad part to me, and I appreciate, and just keep on doing what you're doing until we find a solution and find an answer to this problem.
I get asked that asked that question all the time, you know, what would you do different, or what could be done different? And the question, or the truth is, it is a society problem, you know. It starts with the parents. I preach all the time, you know, if you're not a helicopter parent, or you're not looking over your kids, or, you know, sticking your nose in their business, so to speak, you're not doing your job. And there's a lot of parents that don't do that. I was like the sheriff, and, you know, I never would have thought that I would tell you today that I'd be for a needle exchange program either. But the truth is, you know, when we've got officers getting stuck with needles and people that are, you know, we don't want to spread that disease either. And when you look at the cost of treating that, you got to look somewhere different than just arresting them all. So the HIDA program, the reason why they want you to focus on mid to upper level dealers is because statistically that has the most impact. You know, Doug doesn't want 1,000 people over there. We could go arrest 1,000 people and put them in there. He doesn't want them there, and it doesn't do them any good. The county's taken a pretty good step of trying to have some bids for rehabilitation. Don't be dismayed by those figures. I sit on the drug court board as well, and I see people that make it through drug court that I never would have thought would have made it. I know, you know, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. I never would have thought, you know, I won't name names, but certain individuals have come through there that I knew had never had a job, knew had been drinking since 8 years old, or, you know, doing drugs since 12 or whatever, and a few of them are clean. And now, do you rehabilitate all of them? No. Are you gonna spend a lot of money on your beds and all that? You bet you are. But are you gonna get some bang for your buck out of that and have some people that wind up turning into good tax-paying, working citizens? Yeah.
We absolutely hope so.
You will. So I said, don't be dismayed, because I'd be shocked if the first few people you stick in there turn out the way you want, because they probably won't. It'll take a while for your program to get its feet off the ground, figuring out what it needs to be and not need to be doing. So stick with it, because it is important. It's not just a law enforcement problem, it's a society problem, like you said, so.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate you.
I hope that you will share your stats with Mr. Robinson, because we do speak a lot on this court about the rehabilitation side of it and our healing center. But also, I think that folks need to see that behind the scenes and stuff that's not in their face every day, there's a lot of work being done, and it's on this paper.
Yeah, that's-
And we appreciate everything that you guys do.
Yeah, we talk to Bill and Mr. Green all the time there. It's good. They've got my cell phone number, so.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it, Sheriff. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate the update. Philip, you were on here, you want to present?
I was gonna have from the audience.
Well, they've got on here the Lincoln document, but that's fine if you don't have it.
You startled me there, Judge.
That's all right.
What?
That's good. Next is comments from magistrates. Raj?
2 or 3 quick comments, talking about the jail and the expenses that we have, the cost of the jail. I tell the public this all the time. It really gnaws at me that we got good, hard-working families that tries to pay their bills. They don't have the luxury of making sure their air conditioning is down to 69 or 70 degrees, or in the wintertime that they can keep their family warm. They can only afford to do what they can do. But yet you can go to jail over here and we require to keep them at a certain temperature. It just bothers me, terribly bothers me, and I don't know the answer to it, but somehow our society has got turned around backwards. We should be taking care of the people that's not stealing off somebody or taking drugs and taking care of them instead of the ones in jail. That's just my point of view. It might not be the whole court's. School's out, as you well know, and there's a lot of kids that's gonna play in the streets when they're not supposed to. They're gonna be riding bicycles. Just want to let everybody be alert, be careful about when you're going through these subdivisions. It scares me to death when I see a car parked on the side of the street in a subdivision because a kid can run out from behind it and be there before you know it. So just be careful going through these subdivisions, watch the speed limits, and try to slow it down a little bit. Last but not least, Father's Day Sunday. You know, a lot of men can be fathers, but it takes a special man to be a dad or a daddy. I grew up with a daddy. That's all I got.
Thanks, Raj. John?
The 3rd District continues to be busy and several things going on. Myself and Judge Taylor received several calls in the last week or 10 days about the Hackett Pike project, the Kinder Morgan compressor station going in down there. I know that the traffic and the heavy trucks have broken that road up pretty bad, and we've met, Judge Taylor and I met with the project manager down there, and they've agreed to maintain that road and keep it passable until they finish that project, at what time the road will be completely redone down there. So be patient with them. We've also met with them, and we're having Sheriff Coyle work on some maybe speeding issues with the truckers down there. They'll be a little bit more safer in that area when they're hauling dirt in and out down there. So it's a narrow road. You have to slow down and get over. It's a lane and a half. It's not a 2-lane road down through there. So I just encourage everybody to be patient and be careful down there. That's almost finished today. That project's not almost finished. Today, a project will hopefully be finished, which is Walker Park Road down there. They're putting a culvert in down there, and that road is partially blocked. Is that right, Willie?
Yes.
So be patient on that road. Hopefully we'll get a new culvert in down there that we've had some trouble with over the years, and just now getting it done. So that's one of the projects we're working on. The mowing and pothole patching is continuing. It will be all summer. I'd just like to say there was a great turnout at the truck pull at the Madison County Fair last weekend. The Waco Fire Department put on a good truck and tractor pull out there. Did some good fundraising for them. I noticed on their minutes here for court that they've been out and picked up several roads in the Waco area for trash to raise some more money, and we appreciate what they do at the Waco Fire Department. They run a good volunteer program out there at the fire department. I guess it was yesterday, we put a flower bed in down at the Union City Park. We're going to seed that pretty soon, and and the road department was very helpful in helping get that set up down there. I want to thank those guys. One last thing, the First Christian Church, we're started doing a second Saturday breakfast up at the church. It's open for all men. We'd like anybody to come in and have breakfast with us, fellowship with us. We're lining out some good speakers. I think this next month it's going to be Ralph Hacker's going to speak to us. So it's a good fellowship. It's good community involvement and coming together and bringing some ideas for the community and ways we can help the community. So feel free to drop by and have breakfast with the church.
Thanks, John. Tom?
Just want to say a few things. Willie, thanks for your guys going out there, keep chipping away on projects that we've had a long list on, and I see those happening all around our district, and we certainly appreciate that. I asked everybody just to be patient. They do have a list. They are working on it. Same thing with state projects. I noticed that the state is still working on and completing projects that we've got on the books with them. They just finished one out in 25 out in Midway doing some patching, and there's more stuff to do back there. And as soon as they get the resources to do that, materials, they'll finish those things up. So just please be patient if you call me about those things. Scott, we're glad to see you back.
Thank you.
Hope you're feeling better. Your people were very good with working with the road department, everybody coordinating, going out and picking up things when we needed those picked up. We certainly appreciate that. And I guess last thing, I just want to say, last Friday, I've had calls for a month about a situation down on Poozy. And you know, there's two sides to every story. And this past Friday, I want to thank the sheriff. He went down, he and I rode down to Poozy, and we talked to a resident down there about a problem that we've got down there on the road. And you know, we heard their side of the story. We listened to them. We explained to them why that we needed problem taken care of, and they listened to that, and I think that's resolved. And Sheriff, I know you're busier than a one-eyed cat watching two rat holes, but I certainly appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to ride down there with me and to you know, to talk to somebody. They appreciate you coming down and taking your time. I certainly appreciate it, and that's just good. You know, you were talking about your people, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times. Hire the absolute best people that you can. And you can do that, and you are able to do that, in my opinion, over in your department, because the Madison County Sheriff's Department's got good leadership. And I mean, you've got good Major Terry over there, yourself, you've got folks over there that care about their people, and I don't care what you do, I don't care how much money you make. If you don't work for people that care about you, you're not going to stay there long. And we've been able to keep good people. Of course, like you said, we certainly don't hold anything against folks that want to leave and better themselves. And we did have folks move on, and that's fine. That's all part of it. You go and continue getting the best people that you can. I know there's people that want to come and work for the Sheriff's Department, and we're thankful that we have that over there. So that's it for me, Judge. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. Larry?
Well, I like your analysis of the cat. I've never heard that before, but you got a pretty good chuckle out of the crowd, so I thought that was good. And again, Bob, I want to thank you for the job you do, Mike. Y'all do a tremendous job, and you had mentioned 8,000 policemen in the country, and yeah, that's way in Kentucky, and that's way understaffed. But you know, if you had 16, of course, we're way overcrowded in the jail, but could you imagine what the jails would face? But I'd rather face that part as not catching.
That's where the complaints come in.
Sure.
Because they're complaining these people have done it. So if we had more police officers, just how clean it would be.
Well, sure.
And if they had a bigger jail, we'd put them.
Don't worry about the jail. We'll keep building. You just keep getting them. We'll build them. The judge says he's got an outlet to get some money, and I'm sure he does. Or I hope he does. The only other thing, Judge, I know I brought this up several times. Have you ever had that meeting with transportation on the prisoners? Can you update us on that?
Well, I mean, I don't really have anything to update. We went and asked them about being a partnership with the city of Richmond, city of Berea, and the county, and they're not interested. And so they're in the process of reestablishing their inmate work program, working through Doug. I told them that if they wanted to start it back, that was fine. You know, their biggest issue with this is paying for rainy days, and I don't understand it. They don't want to pay for rainy days, and because they say there's nothing going to be going on. Well, they're only paying for that employee, that deputy jailer, and I don't understand why that deputy jailer can't work out there. They don't want the inmates out there at their road department. It's perfectly fine, I understand that, but there's no reason why that deputy jailer can't be working on those rainy days, getting things prepared for the next work day, working with the supervisors on the work forms of what's coming up, re-spooling weed eater strings, scheduling, whatever it might be. And so in our meeting that we had with them, I think they somewhat understood where I was coming from, and so I'm waiting any day for them to or to Doug to tell me that they're going to start that program back up again. You know?
Well,
I'm going to still continue to see if we can't start our own internal program and partner with the city of Richmond, city of Berea. I know actually even EKU has said they would be interested in partnering with us as well to have that program, just to beautify our community, make our interchanges look a lot better, things like that. So.
well, I mean, and I know you have talked to them, and it takes time to work those situations out, but, well, we've had some pretty weather, and I'd like to see a bunch of prisoners out weed eating, or, you know, in some spots that maybe we can't mow. You know, you can't get too close to the sign, because they're gonna hit it. I mean, Willie can vouch for that, but, you know, if we had a weed eater go around that, a stop sign or whatever.
Pick a lot of trash up too.
Yeah, they pick a lot of trash. I mean, back when we had it, I mean, you know, I called several times in certain areas that we have problems, especially trash, like you said, and it's a blessing to get that picked up. And I know the people appreciate it. Judge, I appreciate you following it up, but stay on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, we got decisions. I mean, while we had the budget work session, we got decisions to make from when it comes to the finances. And if you all want to, you know, do all these things that cost the county money, that's perfectly fine. But we all got to be sitting here at the table together when we decide how we're going to pay for it. You know, and I did that budget work session so y'all could visibly see yourself, you know, that these state mandates continue to hammer on us. We don't have a choice to pay for them. Revenue streams stay stagnant or they keep lowering. You know, the state police is a perfect example. You know, they got 6 or 7 state troopers. That's 1.2 per shift. I mean, that's a lot. That's made us, a fiscal court, have to increase the duties of the sheriff. You know, it's everything. The inmates, just through the judicial program. Somebody gets arrested, it takes them 1.5 years to get through court. That's on the county's dime. Then they get through the court system, and all of a sudden they get credit for time served, where they would have been a state inmate. But so really and truly, the fiscal court paid for them to stay in jail for 1.5 years, get credit for time served. The inmate work program is another example. It's just another little punch in the gut, in my opinion, of things that we're having to take up the slack for state programs that I just don't personally feel like that we should have to do.
Well,
you know, and I think any partnership is everybody that gets something out of it should be a part of it. It shouldn't just be the Madison County Fiscal Court taking up the slack. How many times do they clean up the Berea bypass? How many times do they clean around the Richmond bypass? How many times are they cleaning out 25, Scaffold Cane Road? Granted, I understand those things are in the community and they benefit our constituents, but you want me to go to the state and see if they'll pay for rainy days for cleaning our roads? They're not going to do it.
they probably won't do it, but
Well, I've already asked them to partner, and I've got had the road department, Scott and Willie, worked on a plan to split it 4 ways. It was going to cost the first year $17,000. Years 2, 3, 4, and 5 were going to cost $10,000 per entity, and we could have grown that program and had multiple crews out cleaning up our roadways that would benefit the city of Richmond, Berea, the county, the state, and they weren't interested in it.
Well, I think it'd be money well spent, I'm sure the court, of course, you know, it's hard to say, well, we're gonna work on all state roads or all county roads. You know, you can't do that, you have to work on both of them. Some are worse than others, and I understand that, but I just, some way I just like to see it worked out to where we could get 8 or 10 or whatever out weed eating, picking up trash or whatever, and maybe we can work something out. But other than that, Judge, I'm just glad to be here.
Glad you're here too, buddy. Comments from the audience? All right. Welcome.
Thank you, Judge Taylor, members of the court, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I better introduce myself to those who don't know me. I'm Jan Quigg. I worked 30 years at EKU's Public Safety Office. I'm retired. I'm also part Native American. My great-great-grandparents were forced on the Trail of Tears. And I'd like to personally thank the two policemen, and it's so appropriate that I come after them with what I have to say. Basically, a group of prominent Native Americans are walking across America to bring awareness about domestic violence and drug abuse on reservations, as well as every city and town in America. They're going to be here on June the 20th, and they're going to have a rally in Frankfurt. They will walk to Richmond from Frankfurt, and they have chosen Battlefield Park to camp the night. And the reason they chose Richmond, obviously, is because of our powwow. I'm also chair of the Richmond Powwow Association. Anyway, I'm proud that these individuals have chosen our town. And thank you, Phil, for the battlefield. Let's see. Also, I guess I wanted to say that Bobby Wallace will be the contact person. I have also emailed the mayor, and tourism is involved as well. We'd like to have some kind of TV or newspaper or TV coverage because it is it's a good event, and it also brings our powwow into focus, and it also brings everything that these two gentlemen do on a daily basis into focus. And I guess the last thing I'd like to say is it matters not the color of our skin, it's the spirit within. And thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Mark, do you have anything to add today? All right. Kenny? Scott?
Good morning, everyone. I got skipped over there in department head meetings, but I just wanted to remind everyone that this Saturday, starting at 9 a.m., is Kentucky River Sweep, and Chris has got my photo up there for me. 9 to 1 p.m., there'll be t-shirts and a cookout for all the event volunteers, and that photo was taken, I think, last week on the Clark County side at the top of the spillway there. Those who have worked the event before know that area up in there well, and it looks like we've got a good amount of trash this year to take care of on the riverbanks. So this Saturday, the 17th, Fort Boonesboro Beach, 9 to 1 p.m. There will be a boat taking people back and forth, and of course you can also go across the bridge and drive over into Clark County and hike down the trail and get to that area as well. So,
Do we have a big participation from Clark County?
Clark County, it's about 50% Madison County and 50% Clark County. Usually there's about in between 100 to 125 volunteers that'll come down and help out during that time span. So,
okay, thank you.
Be a good event.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. I need a motion to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next court date is Tuesday, June 27th, 2017 here in Richmond. Again, that's Tuesday, June 27th, 2017 here in Richmond. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks, everybody, for being here.